What's good, family? I'm back with another reaction. Subscribe to the channel, share, and post notifications, smash that like button up, watch this video all the way through. I appreciate you. Had to hurry up and say that real quick, you know. And yeah, so I'm about to react to Thomas Sowell. Why do socialist liberals always blame poverty on the rich? Thomas Sowell. I keep hearing people tell me to react to Thomas Sowell, talk about Thomas Sowell. So I'm gonna give Thomas Sowell, like, you know, whatever. I'm gonna see what Thomas Sowell is about. To be honest, like when I was in college, I took economics. I took a lot on economics. I was in business. I went to school for business management. So I had to do a lot of economical papers. I had to learn a lot about different types of economics. So I'm gonna see, like, because I know that there's so many different neoclassical economics, capitalism, the study of capitalism, how a socialist market would work, like. That has actually never been found out. But I had to study basically macro and macroeconomics, all kind of stuff like that. So I'm definitely well familiar with this. So like so Thomas Sowell, like, I want to see what he's gonna say, because to a degree you can somewhat blame the rich for why things are the way they are. You can, but at the same time, you can't. You know, you can blame the government too. Like there's an element of both that play a role in why society is the way it is. But let's see what he's about, man. I'm gonna give him a chance. All right, let's get it. Let's go.
Quoting Bernie Sanders, while there are some great corporations, this is the question of causation versus blame. While there are some great corporations trying to do the right thing, in my view, and I say this very seriously, the greed of the billionaire class. The greed. This is not supposed to be funny. I say this very seriously. The greed of the billionaire class, the greed of Wall Street, is destroying the lives of millions of Americans. Close quote.
Before Thomas Sowell speak, I don't know how you could even argue with that. I want you guys to look up what happened in 2008. And for those you know what happened. Bankers were giving out subprime mortgage loans to anybody with a pulse and passing them off as AAA rate securities, right? And through that process, right, you had the global economic crash. That global economic crash, some people still didn't recover from, right? That was a lot of greedy, very successful people, some from Wall Street, that literally pulled that off. And at the end of it all, people lost everything, and then some of them got bonuses, and then they got bailed out by the government. So our tax money was also used to bail these people out. We know the story. What is Thomas Sowell really going to say to what Bernie Sanders just said? What Bernie Sanders just said was not wrong at all. I don't think that was wrong at all. Like, but I don't know. Maybe Thomas Sowell has a better explanation. Let's figure it out. Let's go. I'm excited for this, though.
What do you think of that? It's astonishing, but I think even more astonishing is how many people voted for Bernie Sanders at a time where in socialist Venezuela, people are starving. They're breaking into stores in desperation to get some food. They're crossing the borders in other countries to stay in more starvation. In a country that has one of the world's largest supplies of oil, and they've managed to do that in that country. And people are so utterly insulated from facts that the fact that Bernie Sanders paints a very beautiful picture is all.
Wait, I want y'all to know something about Venezuela really quick, right? First of all, we as a first world country should not compare ourselves to countries that are not first world. I'm going to put it that way, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the other countries, but I'm saying, like, he's comparing what Bernie Sanders saying we can do to the Venezuelan country, which is crazy, right? It says also that there's oil in Venezuela. I want you guys to know something, right? And I'm gonna tread really carefully when I say this, but a lot of that oil, and you can research this, do the research for yourself, but a lot of that oil that the Venezuelans actually try to get, it gets taken by other countries. I'm gonna just put it that way. I'm gonna just leave it at that. It gets taken by other countries. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to say too much on that because I don't know, like, what could get demonetized on what I say. But definitely, like, the Venezuelan is a really bad example of socialism, because socialism has never been practiced in a first world country to a significant degree, like where it's no totalitarian added into it, not Stalin, not Mao, not Pol Pot, not none of them added into it, no totalitarian government added into it, no one world leader, a socialist government where the workers actually control the means of production. That has never been done, and that is literally the whole definition of socialism. That's literally what it is: the workers controlling the means of production. Anyone who argues that the workers shouldn't have a say-so in what happens within a company, I think is strange. You know, I in my opinion, is strange. But I hear his point. Let's see.
All that matters.
Hold on. My theory of how to get rid of poverty is to hold a meeting of all the leading experts on poverty somewhere in the middle of the Pacific and not let them go home for 10 years. When they came back, they would discover there was no more poverty. Okay. So hold a meeting for 10 years. Hold a meeting of leading experts on poverty for somewhere in the middle of the Pacific and not let them go home for 10 years. When they came back, they would discover there was no poverty. Okay, maybe he's got to explain this.
It is not the origins of poverty which need to be explained. What requires explaining are the things that created and sustained higher standards of living. What do you mean by that? Well, there are actually books with titles and subtitles about the origins of poverty. Well, the entire human species began in poverty. So I don't know how say, what is the origin of this? Perhaps maybe going to Eden or someplace. Poverty, what?
Guys, he said the entire human species began in poverty. No. We did not begin in poverty. We did not begin in poverty. Like, okay, look. Poverty didn't become a thing until economics became a thing, until trading goods and services became a thing. And when trading goods and services became a thing, that's when people had less than others. But at a period of time, actually, you know what's funny? Like, he kind of made the argument somewhat backwards. This is the argument that the socialists actually make. They make the fact that before commerce came in, people traded goods and services. Whatever we had and we needed amongst each other, we traded, or we went to war with if we couldn't get those things from one another. But we traded, and everybody at that time didn't have to pay. They didn't have to pay for things. They had to build a big family, and that big family was trained to hunt and went out and gathered for one another. And it took towns sometimes of people. This was where Darwin's theory of groupthink, I think it's called groupthink, where groups come together and they build things because they need to survive. So socialism is predicated upon that notion that if we didn't have dictators and leaders and everybody had to work as a collective in order to help build the society the way the society needs to be built, then we'd be absolutely fine. All right, I hear, man, but let's keep going, man. 'Cause I could be wrong too. Tell me in the comments. I could be wrong, man. Like, I could be wrong. But what he's saying, he could be completely correct.
More than that, you're trying to explain why some countries are poor, rather than trying to explain why other countries are more prosperous. There's no explanation needed for poverty. The species began in poverty. So what you really need to know is what are the things that enable some countries and some groups within countries to become prosperous. Okay. Further, continuing that point, I just want to dig out this.
It's funny because even the guy in the video didn't understand the point. He didn't understand the point. Like, he's sitting there like, okay, whatever. Like, he didn't really understand the point. But I mean, I get his point. He's saying that like poverty, you don't really need an explanation for poverty. Oh my God, this is actually not, I don't know, learning micro and macroeconomics, this is not feasible at all. I'm just being real, it's not feasible at all. Starting off, like, you do need an explanation for poverty, just as well as you need an explanation for wealth. You need an example of both ends of the spectrum. How do countries get to a point of extreme wealth, and how do countries get to a point of extreme poverty? That way other countries can emulate